Hello, my name is Alex Schadenberg. I'm the Executive Director of the Euthanasia Prevention Coalition. I have a message to jurisdictions that are debating the legalization of euthanasia and assisted suicide right now, which is going on in many states and countries. And that is, before doing so, you need to first examine the Canadian experience. Euthanasia, assisted suicide, and known as MAiD in Canada, medical assistance in dying, was permitted in 2016 when it was legalized as a last resort, and it has quickly become normalized in Canada. Euthanasia was sold to Canadians with safeguards. We were told that it would only be for terminally ill people. We were told that it would only be for those who are suffering and nearing death, and the law passed in June of 2016. This today is now April of 2021. Canada's had an unprecedented amount of growth in the number of euthanasia deaths. We had 1,015 in 2016. Now, mind you, I understand that we didn't have a full year of euthanasia in 2016. We had 2,833 in 2017, 4,467 in 2018, 5,631 in 2019. We don't have the 2020 data. The federal government's been very slow in releasing data. Because it's been slow in releasing data, I can tell you only the trends. Ontario, which represents 39% of the Canadian population, had 1,789 euthanasia deaths in 2019, 2,378 in 2020. So we have that Ontario data, which shows a 33% increase in 2020, massive increase in 1 year alone. The law is quickly expanded based on court decisions, doctors pushing the limits, and by Parliament expanding the law. Parliament introduced Bill C7 actually in February of 2020 in response to the Truchon court decision, less than 4 years after passing its original law. Truchon was based on two people with disabilities who argued that the law violated their equality rights since they did not qualify for MAiD, euthanasia, because they were not dying, and the court agreed with them. The federal government did something that was unprecedented. It did not appeal the decision. And this was a lower court decision in Quebec. So therefore, usually when you're dealing with decisions of such a magnitude, actually, in fact, historically, always when you're dealing with decisions of such historical magnitude, the federal government appeals the decision. But instead, they introduced Bill C7, which went much further than Truchon. Bill C7 expanded the law to include people who are not terminally ill. That was the Truchon decision. It also allowed euthanasia for mental illness alone. Now they've held that for 2 years in order to develop protocols around that issue. And they are allowing incompetent people to die by euthanasia only if they were previously approved for euthanasia. So what they've said is we're going to eliminate the requirement that competence is required at the time of death. So now at this time, competence is required at the time of assessment. They did several other things. They eliminated the 10-day waiting period. They also lessened the number of witnesses. So when someone requests euthanasia, it used to require 2 witnesses that were unrelated. Now it requires 1 witness who could be related, and it did several other things. So the quick expansion of Canada's law is concerning, but you should also be concerned about the stories of pressure and concern and coercion that have been experienced in Canada. The willingness to accept euthanasia for mental illness alone. This is a big change. Human rights for people with disabilities have been violated, and the prospect of more expansion and change. So I'm putting out a series of short videos, and we will cover these issues. As I say, jurisdictions that are considering legalizing euthanasia and assisted suicide should really examine the Canadian situation before considering such an act. Thank you.